Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our weekly stock market show. This is where we look at the latest data, market sentiment, and key levels on S&P 500, QQQ, and Mag 7s to give us a better understanding of where price may head to later next week. And we also be looking at support resistance levels to give us more clues on the overall market. All right, before we get started, let's take a quick look on data first. So next week, data, the econ data has been coming in a lot weaker lately. So if any of these start to roll over, market's gonna have even more downsides due to the recession fear at the moment. So market is extremely sensitive to all these PMIs, manufacturing data as well. Job jolts definitely will be sensitive as well. All these employment data's ADP, so jobless claims and unemployment for sure, and non-farm payroll. So if these come in okay or better than expected, the market might get a temporary relief bounce. But if these comes in line, I don't think it's going to help too much due to the price action being very weak lately. But if it comes bad, then this definitely going to exacerbate more downside. And the tariffs are going to be coming in as well on April 2nd, although it's not listed here. It's we'll see how the market reacts to tariffs when it does actually happen on April 2nd. So it might be a kind of like sell the news kind of event, but this is like buy the news because we have been dropping. So we'll see how it actually reacts overall. Overall, fear and greed index is still that extreme fear. And we did kind of bounce off into fear around 26, 27 when we started that bounce on Monday, Tuesday, but now we're back to extreme fear. So it's not really helping that much. These sentiment gauges are better used when in a strong bull market. I'm not saying we're in a bear market at the moment, but the price action is kind of suggesting we are in a bear market price action. Overall, you can see this like slow, very controlled, slow grind down versus when we're in strong bull markets, we get like a capitulation drop and then just V shapes. So those are kind of like the buy the dip moments when we hit extreme fear. And now it's a lot different. You can see even AI sentiment data, we have been in these upper 50s for pretty much 5 weeks. And if you look back on all the other dips that we had, it's more like we got these extreme reads and in a week or two, we V-shape, right? But the characteristic of that strong bull market is kind of gone now, at least in this given moment, as we have a lot of overhead supplies, right? You can see there's a huge block of overhead supply right here versus, right, if we look at April, right, this big drop was a capitulation drop. Next thing we know, a V-shape due to there is no supply overhead, right? It's just this little tiny bit, right? Versus when you consolidate for 3-4 months over here in this area, and broke above, zero follow through, right? This is what you get when you break underneath it. You see SPY right here. It's pretty much a back test of this low, right? This low of the structure. So extremely weak because we literally just touched the low of this little wick down here of this structure, and then we rolled over. Yeah, so let's start with the Qs with the price action. You guys can skip ahead, look at the other stuff on the Mag7s if that's what you guys want to look at. And I'll do the commodities update tomorrow. So check that out if you guys are into commodities. All right, so let's start with the Qs. Weekly bear flag on the table, right? We talked about this last week. If it's a weak bounce, let's measure it. If it doesn't go over 0.382, which is this yellow box, 0.382 just means 38.2% retracement of this entire move. So this bounces 38.2%, pretty much picture perfect, rejects, and then goes over there. So currently it's still weekly bear flag on the table. This is monthly weekly. Show you guys, right? Top of the move to the bottom of the move, one initial move, right? This is the bounce. So this is a weekly bear flag currently at the moment. How Bull's best hope here, it's like I would say it's a tiny range, right? If they can hold this low at this 2 weeks ago's low, and then they bounce pretty much, they need to bounce this on Monday, right? Can't get any lower. If it goes lower, that's confirmed bear flag. If we break this low right there, it's gonna be a confirmed bear flag, and we might get more follow through because this is the first real weekly downtrend we have in a very, very, very long time. Let's see. This is a tiny one. Don't really count. Here we had this clear one over here, right? This is a clear weekly downtrend with some follow through. It's been like what, almost 2 August, year and a half, right? So we do just see something here, and this is just this didn't have any overhead supply, right? And look at how much overhead supply we have here, and over here, right? We're kind of like coming into many structures, and if we break below this one, we're not going to be below 2 structures, right? So that's going to be pretty telling. So bulls best, the 2 best holds for bulls, pretty much. Either we bounce here and we get a tightening range, kind of like a sideways equilibrium, tightens up, or we break this weekly bear flag and lacking follow through. So let's say on Monday, Tuesday, we break this weekly bear flag, and then tariffs announces on Wednesday, and then we bounce back above this level real quick or something. Then and then we shape up some kind of an uptrend here. Then then we become a lack follow through here. Then we may potentially start looking back up to test these levels again. So those are the only 2 best case for bulls. Price action is not telling us that's going to happen at this moment because it's pretty much full bear control at this given moment on every time frame. So yeah, so let's see if the bears hold this low. And if you are a bear, right, you want to break this low to get that weekly bear flag follow through. All right, let's take a look to see. Back to the daily. Yeah. Right, we had a small daily uptrend here. Higher low, higher high. And then we just broke the pivot already. So back to bear control. And even after hours, right, we went lower. So we are pretty much right. Yeah, we're pretty much right on the dot there. So if we just make, if we open up Sunday with a tiny drop, right, Sunday night on futures, then this is going to be lower, right? But that's what I'm saying. If Sunday night, say we open lower, right? Let's say we open here on Sunday night, and we come back, and then we open back up here in the regular trading hours, then that might be one of those lacking follow throughs where we talked about. But we need to see bulls play offense here, because even if we do open down here Sunday night, and then we come back, right, and we open here in the regular trading hours, and then we just roll over, right? That's not a lacking follow through. I just see 4 hour higher low and a lower low, just kind of like a relief bounce to make that 4 hour lower high, lower low. What we want to see is we see if it's that follow through, then we will see it bounces back, and then we make a 4 hour higher low and uptrend over here to negate this bear flag, to give bulls more confidence that we may come back up to test this 482. But it's not looking good at the moment. See, look on SPY. So SPY, similar idea, pretty much cut through all the supports. Once it cut through this, this sideways range where we built, same thing with the Qs for literally a whole week or two, and it just cuts through it like that. Bulls kind of give up on playing defense over here. So similar idea. This could be a weekly bear flag. Actually, SPY bounced a little bit over it, just a tiny bit over it, but the idea is still there. It's a weak bounce. The weak characteristic of a weak bear flag is a weak bounce, and so I got over it a tiny bit. So technically, I would say this is still a very, very weak bounce. And let's see if it holds this low. Similar idea. So if this low holds. So there's 2 ideas here. If Q breaks, right, just slightly, Sunday night opens or Monday regular trading hours, and SPY holds 551. Right, SPY doesn't make a new low right here. It holds here and bounces, and then we may get that. It kind of bounces with the Qs. We may get that lacking follow through. What bears want to see is if both of these breaks that low and confirm the weekly bear flag, then you'll get a lot more follow through. if that happens. But it's not looking like it's gonna happen. If I were to like, yeah, it's best hope for bulls is this is a tiny range. But at this moment, it's looking rough. Yeah, I mean, even look at and if you zoom in on the 15 smaller time frame, right? Zero bounces along the way in its entire drop. We have, and then it just kind of closed the low of the day, right? If we had more time, this probably went lower, which it did after hours. But we'll see how it opens up on Sunday night. All right, let's take a look at the mega caps sevens, X sevens to give us see if any kind of clues. We can see if there's any kind of bounce coming or it might be a lower low. All right, so this is also, yeah, this is also another bear flag right here. Um, I'm just gonna call this triple bottom, even though we poke through it. Um, yeah, and then hit the 200-day moving average right on it. I'm not gonna say this is acting as support at the moment because we didn't even bounce. So if it's gonna act as support at that 200-day move average, we want to see at least a bounce, right? Need some kind of a price action showing us that is support versus cut through everything, all the supports at the moment. Um, yeah. So best hope for bulls and for meta is this is a triple bottom. And then it bounces here and goes sideways, tightening up. And or we break that triple bottom, get that lacking follow through, and this becomes kind of like an inverse head and shoulders, which is kind of a bottom forming pattern. But we need to get that. But we're hoping. We don't want to hope when we trade, so definitely manage your risk. We don't want to be like hoping this is going to be a lacking follow through on the overall market on the weekly, especially the weekly time frame breaks. Hoping like it's going to be like an inverse head and shoulders. That's hoping a little bit too much because it could just roll over, right? Especially if it's a weekly trend on the market overall, right? If it rolls over, um, yeah, if it just rolls, even if it's inverse head and shoulders, let's say it goes down here, right? Then it comes back up. Are you going to be ready for like another 3-4% drop, right? And that's like the best kind of case scenario if it does happen, right? But if it goes like this and then we get a weak bounce, right, and come back just to back test this low, and then we roll over again, right? So I gotta be cautious of different scenarios. Yeah, let's see if the Bulls play defense right here. Otherwise, if we do break here, we are gonna go. That's the low of the structure, which is gonna be near this 556 low. If we break 556, we're gonna come down to 541. There's literally nothing in here that's gonna hold us support. We're gonna come down to this structure. It's quite big of a drop. Yeah, this whole structure is gonna act as support. That will be another 7% away. 6 to 7% ish. Then yeah, so let's see if bulls can hold 557 first. If they can, and that might shape up that inverse head and shoulders. If not, then we're looking down to this this 538 zone. All right, let's take a look at Tesla. Holding up a lot better, of course, due to the size of the bounce. But if you're coming down from 50% drop, I would expect it to hold a little bit better than its peers. Its peers only dropped about 20%, right? Daily uptrend here, so daily uptrend still intact. There's a higher high lacking follow through on Thursday. It made sense. Market kind of tanked over, rolled over pretty darn hard, and Tesla is only down 3.5%, even though it's a higher beta name. When the market goes down 3% and Tesla is only down 3.5%, it's holding pretty darn well. But if the market continues to roll over, Tesla's not going to hold itself up. So if it does come back, I'm looking back to 251 support, and let's see if it can bounce there. And when the market gets a temporary relief bounce, let's see if Tesla can come back to this 273. But overall structure is looking better than its peers, um, but it can turn to relative weakness pretty fast if the market continues to roll over. It's looking like a falling wedge here. Falling wedge is a bullish pattern, especially if you have a strong move up to it. So we want to see this falling wedge break bull. All right. Look at Amazon. So, same idea of Meta, right? You're really looking right under it, right at this quadruple bottom, and it's also a bear flag. I think this bounce even weaker than Meta. Let's see, yeah, see, Meta actually reached the 38.2. Amazon didn't even get there. So Amazon, it's extremely weak. It's like a what, 21% drop and 9% bounce. So yeah, if we break this low, let's take a look where we should go. Break this low, we're gonna go. This is already the top of the structure, right? Let's see, we are at low is testing the high of this structure. So if we do start breaking this low, we're probably gonna come down to 186 first. Break that, we're going to 182. And yeah, so we are coming to a lot of support actually for Amazon. And this whole cluster of, well, how long has this traded for? February 24 to November 24. So that's like a 9-month sideways trade here. So I wouldn't expect it to be cut through this whole thing really quickly. But so yeah, so that so those levels 186, 182 are going to come into play if we do break this triple bottom. And if we get that, get that touch and the V shape from here, we might get that inverse head and shoulders I talked about. That's like the bull's only hope at this moment. Or best case scenario, we hold this, right? We magically hold this level again, and then bounce from here, and then we might get that tiny range, right? And then break bull. That'd be like the best case for bulls at this moment. But it's looking a bit iffy here. I mean, we got a couple of poke belows like here, but I just call this as all the same level at the moment. I just click at Google. All right, so Google already broke its loads. Not looking great at all. So this is the confirmed weekly bear flag. Let's see how weak this is. So this is like the weakest one, I would say. Right, top of the move to the bottom of the move. This bounce barely got over 23% of the bounce and made a new low. So that's not a good sign. We definitely want to see Google hold up itself a little bit better. Google pretty much didn't really make a new strong high here either, and they're already coming back to 2021's highs, right? Those are pretty much, I would say, the weakest on this way up. Yeah, we're almost ticking. So this low was made out of this 2021 high, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if we do come back to test it again. See, there's not much support here. This volume. So we are coming back into this structure right here. And say if bears continue, the market rolls over Monday and Tuesday, we're looking back at 148, which is 2021 high. So, and let's see if we can bounce from there. Another 4% away. If we break that, we're looking at 145 as well. Best case for bulls is to shape up that inverse head and shoulders right away. Pretty much bounce here. So the market needs to bounce pretty much to that same spot. And then we could shape out this kind of like inverse head and shoulders look here. Overall. Let's see. Yeah, it's 25% drop, a lot weaker than every other name. Zero signs of bounce too on the day, which is crazy. Yeah. All right, let's take a look at Microsoft. So also incredibly weak. So we broke bull out of this falling wedge here, right? Resistance, 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 resistance. Finally broke bull. Back test, bounced a little for 1 day, um, and then it rolled over. Now it's testing the same lows again. So let's delete this falling wedge. That useful. And support, I'll keep it for bounce, 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 bounce. If we do rollover and break this triple bottom and come down here, maybe we'll act as support again, and then form that inverse angels over here. Um, that's another quite a bit away, 3.5%. Market's gonna drop, definitely gonna drop quite a bit if Microsoft rolls over 3.5% because it's a super big weighting. Let's see. Yeah, so no supports other than this guy, right? There is really nothing here. You look at it, zoom out to see where 21 high is. 21 high is here. Okay, so you can see it's much stronger than Google's chart, right? We're like 13% away from 2021 highs, while Google is already approaching it. But there is not a lot of supports along the way, right? Especially these ones. We go straight up here, and this is all we have. So if we do break this triple bottom, which is the top of this structure, then we're probably going to come down to around this 371. 371, 370 zone right here, closer to this top, which also coincides with roughly this, right, that trend line that we drew together on the 4 hour. So that's the bear scenario. If we do break, bull scenario, we just hold here, and we bounce again. That's the best case, and then we are looking for that tiny range. And if we can break this high, wow, market's probably bouncing quite a bit. Break below this 396 high. I mean, obviously the best case, but not looking like it at the moment. I want to see at least some kind of price action bounce big enough to negate this Friday's drop. Otherwise, nothing is gonna go anywhere. Right? We had like a 2% day on the market, and this is what we got. This little pop over here. I think it was 2.5% on. One day it was 2%. The other day it was 0.6. This is all we got. So not looking good, and we have a ton of overhead supply. Look at this, right? Right now below this whole thing. Right, this is the most overhead supply I would say for any mega cap tech. Is Microsoft overall, and Apple has the lead bull, still holding up pretty well. Near it's 14% away, but still holding up a lot better, right? The structure wise, it's still in its kind of like upper range. And we drew this together last week. I don't know, a couple weeks ago. So resistance still holding, resistance holding, still holding, still holding, still holding. So yeah, I also continue to trade here. If it does come down, that market's gonna make another leg down. So if Apple decides to be a lead bull and then breaks above 223 and get a bull break and start to head to 231, then market might hold itself up. So out of all the mega cap tech so far, I would say Apple's the strongest. So if these other guys try to get like a relief bounce and Apple gets a bull break, it might actually hold, but it's not looking like it at the moment. We're just literally teetering on like what 0.2% away from it. So it's a lot to ask for. Bears probably want to break it first, just to flush all the stop losses out first, and come back up. I don't think we're gonna just hold exactly to a bottom and go. So let's see how it trades when it does cut through that low. See if it's gonna be like a real quick stop everyone out, come back, or it stops everyone out, everyone touches short, and just keeps going. It could be like that. That's what you know, bear market price actions are like. So yeah, but it's holding a lot better. You can see kind of like Tesla, where it's holding in its upper range of bounce and give it all back, while all of the other ones are already trading down here, right? They'll give it everything back. They're at the lows already. But clear resistance 224. Been rejecting from there for a couple of days. And then market rolled over, so it can hold itself up as well. Ideally, bounce right here because we're testing the high of this structure right now. That'd be the best case for bulls would bounce right away here. Otherwise, if we come back down here, it's gonna drag the market down. Yeah, 4%. It's gonna definitely tank the market if we get another 4% down on Apple. So let's see if we can hold itself up. And Nvidia, so not great either. Another 10% drop from here. Right. Still rejecting from. We didn't even test this level. Right. We didn't even come up here to test this level. This is just as primary resistance. Rejection, rejection, rejection. 1, 2, 3. So we can get over the first one. Yeah, so bare minimum for Nvidia bulls. If this bounces here, then we're looking for a tiny range, right? And let's see if we can break this trend line. The first one, the primary trend line here. If we can break this one, then we're looking up back to this second trend line. So yeah, let's see if Apple and Nvidia can hold up, because Nvidia actually held up a lot better on Friday. You saw that initial move down, right, in the morning, and the market and everyone else, and you can see Nvidia just kind of went sideways, while the market made many new legs down along the way. So we have one hope for bulls here. I guess two: Apple and Nvidia, right? And everyone else is team bear at the moment. So if Nvidia can hold this level, continue to hold this level 109, which is not looking like it at the moment, even though we did play defense the entire day, we didn't even play a single offense. It just literally wants that complete chop, right? Because it could be an hourly bear flag. This could very well be an hourly bear flag, which is starting to confirm, right? After hours, top of the move, bottom of the move, weak bounce, bear flag confirm. So bare minimum, negate this pivot, negate that bear flag, come up here, and then back test this 111, right? Many supports here. This whole cluster, it's going to be acting as resistance now. So bare minimum, we need to get over 111. We're going to bounce, back test as low as support, then potentially head higher to this 113. Then we have hopes of coming back up to test this structure around this 116. But if this bear flag confirms and we test the lows again, man, market is definitely making another leg down. Right? If Apple goes down 4%, Nvidia breaks the support, decides to test this low, another 4% down. Gonna be a big drop. But we are kind of slightly oversold on the 4 hours for most of these names, so I wouldn't be surprised to see if we get a weak bounce, even just to start a little bit of it, cool things off, and then make that leg down. If the bears really want to take it down, so ideally for bulls, we want to see a big enough bounce and then form that 4 hour uptrend back to their favor overall. All right, that's got for you guys. If you have any questions, feel the comment below. It's going to be a interesting week. See if we confirm this weekly bear flag overall. And yeah, if you feel like, share, subscribe, you guys made this far, and you guys want to learn more about technical analysis, check out the website and the Patreon link, or just book that 50-minute free call and we chat more about it. Have a great rest of the weekend, your weekend, and I will do the commodities update tomorrow.